seen going on at the moment in Ukraine, the idea of chopper tank, warning the crews when we're going to be actually, if we're being lasered, or if something's coming our way. And we'll wait to get away from stop.
Active protection systems are an absolute game changer for armoured warfare. For the last 30-40 years, people have been saying the tank's dead. It's, you know, when anti-tank guided missiles emerged, they said that it's the end of the tank. Again, we saw that armour technology came there and negated that risk. And now we're saying that, well, because of UAVs and because of modern anti-tank systems, tanks are dead. Well, active protection systems will again negate that risk and then make the primary weapon of the battlefield back to being the tank.
Okay, now Chris has got to disappear off now. I'm just reminding you of that. He's got to run all the way off there, go all the way up the wall, and we'll see him trying to leg it up the top of the tower for the next part of our display. So if you want to start heading that way, and I'll finish off on the last vehicle that's about to come on, which is the Krav.
You're going to be okay doing this without me?
Yeah, I'm fine, you're going to. And the Krav, this is another version built on the Challenger family. Yeah, give him a round of applause. It's done very well there. So the Krav coming on now, another one of those really important vehicles to keep an armoured force going. So Krav Challenger Repair and Armoured Recovery Vehicle. So you've got a dozer blade on the front, that will help manoeuvre things out the way. It can also dig into the ground, so it can use that winch. You can see the cables on the front, 100-ton pull. So if you've got a tank broken down or stuck somewhere, you can recover it so it can fight again another day. Really important. On the back is an Atlas crane that can lift up a whole Challenger pack. So the engine and the gearbox for a Challenger tank. It can tow a trailer behind that carries spare engines in as well. And it's crewed by REME, Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. These are the guys that can fix things in the field. So on this vehicle as well, it's almost like a mobile workshop for the Army as it goes around the place. And again, because this is the one that's based up the road, if you look at the flag on it, ATDU, Army Trials and Development Unit. They keep an example of everything up there, and if there's anything new added to a vehicle, they're the guys that trial it. Big heavy vehicles like this are in service long periods of time. So one of those issues is, of course, they have upgrades, new technology, new things come along, they're added to the vehicles, and part of that task of ATD is just making sure when it is added, it doesn't interfere with something else. We don't deploy the blade and find we've got another bit of kit that's interfered with that. And as again, as you can see, it's got that wrap to, it's add-on passive armour down the sides, it's got bar armour at the back, because again, all the British Army are very conscious of that idea. It's not just, as in the Cold War, we knew where the enemy were, now the enemy might be all around you. And again, this latest phase that we're talking about all the time, tanks had the thickest armour on the front, which is why we have top attack weapons. They're coming in now from above where the armour tends to be the thinnest. We've got to find ways of dealing with that. And that's why we're talking about hard kill, soft kill, defensive aid suites. Hard kill, they fire things out to disrupt incoming rounds, so they physically stop them or disrupt them. Soft kill, you fire a pulse of electricity, and that should disrupt something like a missile with its electronics in it. All these new developments that are going to help see the tank carry on in service into the future.
Oh, is that Christmas light? Is that Christmas? Oh, there he goes.
one of the instructors at the gunnery school. Many of the soldiers who are here today are some of the instructors that teach the next generation, the Phase 2 recruits here at Bovington. Bovington's the place, up there is the camp, the schools that they learn how to maintain and operate the vehicles, use of communications. Down the road at Lulworth is the place where they learn how to fire all the weapons systems. Now, I mentioned it this morning, I think it's worth repeating. Most of you in the audience here, you British taxpayers, this is your army that's being displayed here today. They are the young people, men and women nowadays, that are going to be sent around the world to places that politicians you vote into power send them to. So own them, and I think it's our duty to give them a big round of applause as well for what they do for us and on our behalf.
What you're going to see for the finale of Tankfest 2022, presented by the World of Tanks, is a demonstration battle. We'll see the Challenger 2, the Warrior, the Titan and the Jackal all doing their thing here. And what you've got to bear in mind, of course, is that in the real world the distances would be significantly more, so we're going to do all this in a very small little area. So please bear that in mind and let your imagination run away with you. But I can assure you what you're going to see is a fantastic display. It'll be a fantastic battle, and I'm guessing the good guys will win. When it's done, the whole of the area stays open until 6 o'clock this evening, so don't feel you've got to rush off and get stuck in a queue. You're welcome to pop in and maybe stop by and have a chat to some of the people in the living area. Also, you can get up close and personal with some of the tanks that we parked up there, speak to their owners and custodians, or make sure you nip into a gift shop to make sure you've got all your last minute bits and pieces. And just one final reminder, you've been so good this afternoon. Thank you so much indeed for not standing up in front of people in front of you. It's been wonderful. We've had no complaints at all as far as I know. So if you can, for this very last half an hour, just make sure that if you want to stand up at the back. If you need to take a picture, run up and take it. Keep low so you don't disturb anybody else's sight. Just be very respectful of those people who are behind you. So I think we are now ready. I've had nods. So ladies and gentlemen, for the final time for Tankfest 2022, presented by the World of Tanks, this is the British Army Combat Battle.
Thank you, Steve, for that incredibly lengthy introduction there. Much appreciated. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to demonstrate something called a battle group attack. Now, as Steve mentioned, there's a bit of a disclaimer with this. First of all, it's not going to be to the correct scale. A battle group is hundreds of people, thousands of people, spread over tens of kilometres, so you have to use your imagination on what we're doing. During the battle, we're going to be laying a number 10 bridge that we saw on the bridge layer earlier. Usually, once the bridge has been laid, the entire battle group will pile across the bridge as fast as they can. For reasons of brevity, then we're not going to do this. Just again, use your imagination. During the demonstration, you hear something called SOX cards, or Secure Orders cards. Now, this is a method that the British Army uses to transmit information quickly and securely between different call sites. So when you hear the word SOX, you're talking about his laundry, he's actually using passing information. So let's get started then. The first thing we're going to demonstrate today is an obstacle crossing. Entering the arena now is a CBRT Spartan operated by the Royal Engineers. The Royal Engineers use the Spartan in the engineering reconnaissance role, in which soldiers are specifically trained in assessing obstacles and how to breach them. Once the engineers have made their assessment of the obstacle, in this case a notional river, they will transmit this information back to the battle group commander using the Secure Orders card number 4. taking the time for you. Okay, from here the battle group commander and the battle group engineer will devise a plan on how to breach the obstacle. In this case, they've decided to use a number 10 bridge in conjunction with an artillery barrage organised by the battery commander. Now we'll see the Titan bridge layer approaching the riverbank and deploying the number 10 bridge under the cover of an artillery barrage and direct fire from covering forces. Titan deploying the number 10 bridge with a span of 26 metres that can be launched in under 2 minutes. You can also operate the number 12 bridge, which is a span of 13.5 minutes, and that'll take around about 90 seconds to deploy, although it can carry 2 of these. Using different combinations of these bridges, a greater gap can be crossed. Using a special adapter, the bridge can cross rivers up to 5 metres depth and with a high tidal flow. As mentioned earlier, the Titan is based on the Challenger 2 chassis with a slight modification. This allows it to take any adaptations made from a Challenger 2 hull, such as exploiting new armour technologies. It also works in conjunction with the Trojan and the Terrier in the armoured engineering role. You can see here the use of smoke, having the vehicle being top of the target priority list is critical at this time. They produce much smoke, be it to screen the vehicle or indeed as a deception. From here, the entering call signs on the ground will declare the crossing point open and begin to marshal across friendly forces, starting with the reconnaissance call signs.
Hello. Hello, Zero. This is Echo 11 Golf. Bridge is set. Crossing is now open. Over.
Zero, roger out.
Now the gap has been crossed, we're now going to move on to the next phase of the operation. Entering the arena now is the Jackal. This is a reconnaissance platform will raise ahead of the rest of the battle group and create something called a reconnaissance gap. This means a gap of approximately 5 kilometres between the reconnaissance vehicles and the lead elements of the battle group. This gap creates breathing space, allowing the battle group to only enter the battle if the enemy is sighted. The Jackal uses superior speed and stealth to get into position of overwatch on potential enemy positions. If an enemy is spotted, then a sighting report will be sent up to the battle group commander.
At 1 times T72 static on track and observing a pull-up.
Roger, out.
From here, the battle commander will take information from the reconnaissance call signs and formulate a plan. In this example, a deliberate attack. This plan will be disseminated across the battle group so all platforms understand the mission and their part to play in the plan. When H hour arrives, the battle group commander orders the attack.
Hello, Charlie 1. This is Zero Alpha, H hour in 3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
The first vehicle into the attack is the assaulting tanks. Their job is pure shock action. They drive towards the enemy, causing as much damage and destruction as possible, concentrating their fire on enemy armoured vehicles and defensive positions.
Hello Zero, this is Tango 1 Alpha, contact TC2, where?
Once they have accomplished their mission, they push off to the flanks to provide fire support. Now it's the time for the armoured infantry. Mounting their warrior infantry fighting vehicles, the armoured infantry, guided onto the position by the intimate support tanks, clear the objective of any remaining enemy forces. Their 30mm cannon made quick work of enemy infantry fighting vehicles, reconnaissance vehicles, and dug-in enemy. The warrior now carries out its primary role, delivering its infantry right on top of the enemy position. The infantry call signs dismount and carry out a section attack, with the warrior acting as fire support. The section commander takes charge and assaults the enemy position. By leaving one foot on the ground, there's always people on the ground putting suppressive fire while the attack is going on.
Hey, bro.
Once the enemy position has been cleared, the infantry call signs can either remount the warrior or push back into an in-depth position. From here, the battle group will recall. The Titan will either pick up the bridge or pick up a separate bridge delivered to it. The battle group will then go through a rearming and refueling process, getting the battle group ready for the next attack. Ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes the British Army display. We will now carry out a number of laps of the arena for photo opportunities. If you're interested in any of the vehicles or roles you have seen today, please search Army Jobs for more information.